Greetings, newcomer. Uh, Greetings, nerds and newcomers. My name is Austin Alesso, back here at the D&D Help Desk. Welcome. Hope you're all having a fantastic Friday. I know I am. Should have some minor technical issues fixed. And so let's go ahead and hop on in and see what Reddit's been up to today. Alright, DM Academy, Artist Fox. Hey, thank you for the follow, Kushmo. Welcome to the help desk. So let's see what we got. DM Academy. If you don't mind me asking, if you feel like chatting, just let me know where you're coming from. Twitch, Facebook, that stuff would help me out immensely. So, DM Academy, we have Artist Fox. I made a character voice generator. Press a button, get a unique voice and body language resource. Okay, let's see what we have going on here. Let's see how it looks on stream. I have to zoom out a little bit. All right, speech. Speaks in a high pitch and talks from the middle of the mouth. I feel like most people wouldn't know how to replicate that. Speaks with a mouthful of pitch gum. Turns every sentence to an exclamation. Body language, rubs hands together when speaking. Temperament, acts angry when calm, and obsessive when stressed. Okay. Alright, so it's got a lot of different, especially speech pattern implications here. Hugs on ear. How would that work if they're standing up? I guess just like messing with their earlobes? Don't know. Okay. I have to say that's definitely can be pretty useful. Personally, I would like to have seen a bit more coming from it, but I think for what it is, definitely not too bad. So, let's see. Just got this as a voice, and gonna be comedic. Let's see if Artist Fox posts anything else here. Bardic IO Voices Core if you're looking for an accent. Yes, that's a pretty good website, actually. Okay, I'll go ahead and say that this is more ideas in the comments. I will just leave it as is. I think it's simple yet effective. What is special about each race in your game? By Crabapples and D&D Next. Either in your world, or if you're a DM, or even better, things in your DM's world that stand out to you as a player. I think it's easy to have all races be roughly like humans, but more into nature or rocks or fighting. That seems like a wasted opportunity to me. Of course, your humans might be different from the real world anyway. Could be things like dwarves are actually elementals, literally made of stone, or little details like elves don't have weeks or months instead of every day of the year has a unique, meaningful name. I assume when they say elves don't have weeks or months, they're referring to the elven calendar of that society. Anyway. What's special about each race in your game? I tend to stay a tad more on the conservative side of what kind of the basic difference. I haven't delved too deep into anything super creative, but I'm curious to see what other people have. Let's see, El Diablosaurus. Orcs are actually the longest lived race, but nobody knows their actual upper life expectancy because there's never been a recorded death from natural causes for an orc. Basically like Krogan from Mass Effect. Hey, what's going on, Kiss Lady? Okay. That's pretty interesting. Too angry to die. Where orcs live an extra 10 to 20 years for each point of strength and con, and an extra plus 5 years for each point in dex. Okay. 3 generations of elves. Warforged can choose to have Terminator-style synthetic skin to blend in with other races. Rose Wars is war machines. Okay. Humans have different subraces similar to dragon marks. Subraces kind of like Ganassi. Goblins have a Boston, New Jersey accent, depending on the amount of alcohol I've had during the session. Oh, that's hilarious. Let's see what we want to say here. Boston, New Jersey. With you saying this, I'm wondering if your hobgoblins sound like they're from the Bronx. Question mark. Stop dictating. Sound like, let's go ahead and change this. They're from the Bronx. That'd be interesting. Let's see. I'm setting elves on the material plane. Only live for around 350 years. Get a full 750-year lifespan. They must move to the Feywild. Correct the Fey magics. Supposed to actually manage this. The drow abandoned that pursuit in favor of following a god-like magic spider. I was too lazy to totally reflavor as a drow. Unity in the drow is fractured, and some cities have opened up the surface to trade Underdark spider silk. Underdark spider silk for commerce. Like the Silk Road. That's actually not a bad idea. Remember my history, right? That connected all of what? All the way to China, all the way to what? Europe? Han Dynasty of China. Silk Road. Han Dynasty, okay. I really like this idea of the drow selling their Underdark spider silk. Period. Do you have it resembling the Han Dynasty's Silk Road? Question mark. Stop dictating. Of the drow selling their Underdark spider silk. Do you have it resembling the Han Dynasty's Silk Road? Oh. All right, we got some pretty interesting stuff here. Much. All right, pretty cool post. I don't think we're gonna add anything, but that is okay. We're gonna continue moving on. We can't help. Voice generator, Artist Fox again. Moving on. Curse of Strahd. Ooh, not bad art. Occasional mini events. Pretty generic most of the time. Taverns of Salt Marsh map pack. Put that one there. Need a name for Super Edgy Assassins Guild. Well, my friend, on GM Time Phone or Ask Game Masters, Fantasy Name Generators is a fantastic website. Somebody beat me to it. They have not. Okay. Is a fantastic website if you don't know about it. That will help you with all of your naming needs. But let's see what we got. Hey friends, I need some ideas for the name of a super edgy assassin guild. My homebrew setting. Backstory, those are interested. The joke, I wrote a plot where my players meet the bizarre version of their party called the Five Derricks. They're all spelled and pronounced slightly differently. There's a female in the group named Darla, a lampoon style, making appearances. Darla does to hang out with her boyfriend and help with plots. One-off joke. Middle Eastern and Indian influences in the world, and an elite assassin guild. Kind of guild that people are afraid to even whisper their name, and you're not allowed to quit. I'm very excited to run the plot, but I don't know what to call them. I'd love it some kind of Middle Eastern influence, perhaps named after a poisonous plant or animal from that region. Basically, Order the White Lotus from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Anyway, I need a name that was inspired Dread and people who can speak it. Give me Middle Eastern Indian type setting. Well, let's actually go here to... I need to make... here we go. See what we got. Oh. Okay. Bit rate, if you could stabilize, that'd be great. All right. Fantasy name generators. You could load in the next century. That'd be great. Well, while we wait, everyone's having a good day. Please load. Signals must be a little weak here in the satellite branch. All right, there we go. Let's see here. Fantasy names, maybe assassin. Evil names. Assassin name generator. Got here. Khajiit. The Khajiit names might be interesting. Let's pop that open. French ninja and assassin names. That might be a little sketchier. What we got? Okay. The Dark Dream, the Scarlet Soldier, the Still Laugh. The Unknown Cipher. Ooh. Kind of like the Unknown Cipher. That sounds pretty sick. Got here. Unknown Cipher. Yeah, let's see. That's a pretty cool one. Let's see if we can make Ryabi. Inozita Jagar. Shiraji Sibusi. Abvir. Abvir Dar Jamani. Sure, let's go with it. I like that. What I can do is just copy both of these. All right, the native tongue. We'll just make all that. And we'll put that there. Boop. Okay. So the unknown cipher. Abvir dar Jamani, the native tongue. We'll go ahead and just say Assassin Guild name. Put it in quotations. The unknown cipher. All right, back we go. Music for D&D campaigns. Most stuff from that. Any good subs or sites for good stuff. They've gotten some help. The link will pass. Is there any reason I shouldn't use just use true polymorph instead of imprisonment? True polymorph has the ability to turn a creature into an object at a moment's notice. However, the poster child of sealing dangerous beings away requires a whole 500 gold piece per hit die of the target creature. You can only get one shot of using this on a creature as they become immune to the spell if they succeed on the save. On top of that, True Polymorph allows for versatility in combat. Is there any reason I shouldn't just get True Polymorph for all the same purpose of imprisonment and more? Does True Polymorph not have a duration? Okay, so pop you out. Yep. So, concentration up to an hour. It only lasts an hour, where imprisonment's kind of like until a wish spell's used or someone basically saves them. Now they're talking, I assume, more combatively. True polymorph here, then let's just go imprisonment. Duration until dispelled. That's the big thing. Yeah, 500 gold piece per hit die is expensive. Dispel magic spell can end the spell only if it's cast at a 9th level, targeting either the prison or the special component used to create it. You can use a particular special component to create only one prison at a time. If cast the spell from the same component, the first target of the casting comes immediately freed from its binding. Yeah, I mean it's pretty much a duration issue, right? Now here, a different creature into a non-magical object, or the object into a creature. Also, presumably, if the non-magical object is broken, then it would allow for them to escape. I assume it would take damage, and any tiny object would have about 2 hit points on the average. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Imagine someone else has already pointed that out. I don't see them posting anything. So we got here, imprisonment resists dispel magic below 9th level and lets you specify a conditional dispel additional utility. More of a DM utility with some weird behaviors. And you're correct, from a character object is a poor choice. Imprisonment also prevents any divination magic. So yes. Moment's notice, practically no material cost. Yeah. Imprisonment is for much longer durations and more of a plot setting device than true polymorph spell. Period. Imprisonment allows the individual to be captured and only be broken by wish, 9th level casting of dispel magic. and period. True polymorph, typically if you make the object tiny, will have about 2 hit points worth and could either be shattered, releasing the villain, or more easily reverted to their natural form, period. Isn't true poly permanent eventually? No, true polymorph is not permanent. It lasts an hour. So we can doop here. Concentration 1 hour. Not permanent. Imprisonment is. Imprisonment is permanent until basically proven otherwise. Oh, divination spells can't locate, precede the target. That's what I forgot. During the casting of the spell, you can specify a condition that will cause the spell to end and release the target. Okay, yep. Imprisonment for much longer durations and more of a plot setting device and true polymorph spell. Polymorph is a real word there. Imprisonment allows the individual to be captured and can only be broken by wish. Ninth level, not ninth level. Ninth level casting of Dispel Magic. Dispel Magic prevents divination spells and locks them behind a ritualistic requirement to free them. True probably morphs. Actually, kind of close. True polymorph only lasts an hour, and trying to spell for duration spell lasts until it's dispelled. If you're talking about polymorph, yes, it would last until dispelled or the time period elapsed. If I'm recalling correctly. Transformation lasts until it's dispelled. Oh, nope, right there, into the first paragraph. Huh. That's a... Yeah, that is actually a big bonus difference in imprisonment. Forgot that was there. You're correct. Concentrate on the spell for the duration. Probably need to read these ninth level spells in their entirety. Good catch. Well done. Last an hour. Unless concentrated to completion. And if you make them an object, then they could either be shattered, releasing them, or erasing them more easily. Let's try to make this sentence make sense. True polymorph only lasts an hour unless concentrated to completion, and if you make them an object, then they could either be shattered, releasing them more easily, and reverted their natural form. Is for we'll say semi-permanent duration. Wish next level casting of a spell magic spell. Or only lasts an hour. Cool. Righty. Catch. Alright. And we are off to the next one. Alternative Saltmarsh map. Dragon Plus reveals a delightful and terrifying new monster from Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. Boy. D&D Next by Feisty Ad 4982. You guys often get player who think they are entitled to your games. Do you guys, DM, often get player who think they're entitled to your game? Give your story if so. I have a surge of player these days who act like the game I DM is theirs. They often talk like I'm their employee. Sometimes I feel like I'm in a workhorse to them. Most of the time I end up kicking them from the game. Okay, a lot of red flags here. I'm not sure this individual native English speaker or this was hastily written, which makes me think it's more of a troll post. We'll see. My worst case was a guy who could not accept that I had a doctor appointment for a cancer check. I was defecating blood. When I came back and had the news that I did not have cancer, the guy said the next time to set up the appointment another day instead of the day of our D&D game. Never canceled a game prior to this with a group. In their case, I had a player who really wanted to have his background be used in the story. No biggie there, but every time we stopped doing his quest and turned the main quest, made a fuss about it. Tried to derail the campaign a couple of times, and the other player, my NPC, had to prevent the situations. The other player did not like his quest. This one thought everyone was here for him and his choice. These two were eventually kicked. No one was paying anyone. This is very questionable post. I don't know. I feel like this is half troll. Assuming it's not, assuming the best of intentions here, I would have to say make sure you're having fun too as a DM. You know, I mean, being a DM is definitely work, but you need to make sure that you're enjoying your work. Now, let's see if they posted anything else beneath to help us have a bit more insight. Feisty ad. Yeah, it's an online problem. Sometimes it's hard to dodge these kinds of players. Okay, so yep, online. The worst in this way that we were playing a module where I'm the Frost Maiden, the guy wanted to leave Icewind Dale for his quest. Bring his quest to Icewind Dale, but we always try to find a way to get out. Me and another DM call these kind of players infiltrator. They join games who are doing official module, try to change it to a homebrew they're liking. Huh. Infiltrator, interesting. I'm gonna actually write that down. That's the feeling I have. I ran a lot of AL games at my FLGS pre-COVID. A few times a year, they'd have a player at a session that'd be traveling back home, deal with family situations. These are big tables. Smallest one was 5 people, largest was 10. I'd return 2 weeks later and ask if anyone ran anything while I was gone. Not only would no one take the initiative, half the players wouldn't even remember me saying that I'd be gone. They would tell me in an annoying tone that the website said D&D would be happening. My dude, I don't actually work there. This is a hobby. That's the feeling I have. Having to tell someone this is a hobby, not a job, that does not pay you. More often than not, you lose money by investing in your game. I don't see it as losing money any more so than my Spotify subscription is losing money. I get enjoyment out of it. It's cost me paid for, it's worth to me. But it's not a job to me either. There's one thing I've learned is that there's way more players than there are DMs. I can replace a bad player, a lot easier than I can replace me. Yep. Okay, we got a lot here. Okay. So it seems to me less of a troll post given all the information that they have. So I don't want to approach this here. There's a lot of factors. How do we start this? Sometimes, okay. I would say for starters, make sure that you are having fun too. Period. You are also a player at the table. You are also a player at the table. And despite the potential feelings of these infiltrator players, you're not a workhorse. This is a hobby to you, as you have mentioned. Period. You are also a player at the table, and despite the potential feelings of these infiltrator players, you're not a workhorse, it's a hobby. As you have mentioned. I just want to say here. Do you think that this is merely an online phenomenon? Question mark. Do you see this type of behavior more in Adventure League games? Question mark. I'm assuming the latter. Period. Which is really sad that these players would rather wait and crowd around for someone else to run games for them and pass off that responsibility of their fun onto you than to try to learn to become a DM themselves. Period. Really sad that these players would rather, that's close enough, wait and crowd around for someone else to run games for them and pass off that responsibility of fun onto you, try to become a DM themselves. Oh, onto you. Yeah, it's an online problem. I feel like it'd be more likely online issues. That's what we got here. Infiltrator. I may have to add this infiltrator problem player to the list. Period. If you have any other ideas about the attributes of an infiltrator problem player, I'm curious to know. Period. To the list of problem players. If you have any other ideas about the attributes of an infiltrator problem player, curious to know. Okay. I do have a player like that. He's been for me close to 20 years. We played together even before that. I think he's earned it. I understand what you're saying. This is an interesting one. I think it's time to move on, though. My DM's campaign sometimes feels too dark. It makes me upset. Am I weird for this? Okay. Let's delve into this one. Obsessed with animals. I have a feeling that this kind of post is just going to be about certain things they don't like, and instead of talking to the DM, they're posting it on Reddit to get people to agree with them. Let's see if that is true. So, question. I'll try to keep this short. It is about 5 paragraphs. My DM, long-term boyfriend. Okay, so this has relationship issues, red flags all over it. Cool. Has been running this current campaign a few months now. We play most weeks. Today we were tasked checking a goblin camp by an NPC whose village was targeted and who we helped eradicate the goblins. So we set off to the goblin camp. We get there and I use greater invisibility to have a look around, roll pretty poorly on a perception check, and find around 9 goblins. I'd already tried to reason with a goblin about their attacking the day before, but to no avail. So I didn't see the point in reasoning with them now. Initially, the character I'm playing is a sorcerer who's very impulsive and is also doing the first thing he thinks of rather than thinking carefully about things through his heart in the right place. I decided to fireball the camp. The intent is saving the precious village for further attacks. When I do so, the DM says, you hear the screams of the goblins as you blast the camp. You notice that a good number of them are non-adult screams. The fireball killed most of the camp, and he implied that it had killed many children too. Feel awful? I don't know if I'm just sensitive or what, but I still feel sick thinking about it. I don't want to play a game where I'm able to kill children accidentally. Sure, I probably shouldn't have done that, and yes, it's probably accurate to what might have happened if it's real. It feels so dark and not like a game at all. And my character disengaged from combat, I don't want to play again tonight. Similar situation also happened a month ago. We had to rescue an owlbear from a circus. Absolutely adore animals, and the story was based on the fact that the circus were abusing the owlbear. Owlbears aren't real, and again, it's probably accurate and makes for a compassionate rescue. Pretty upset by it. So I assume you didn't have a talk after this. I want to play a game where we have to witness or discuss animal abuse. It's too dark and it just leaves me feeling sick. I spoke to him about the owlbear one. Okay. A little bit of glimmer of hope here. And he understood, but he also likes to tell these stories. And I know to him it just sounds like a good plot. Alright, so at that point you just need to stop playing with him, or you need to find a group not having these sensitive issues. Because either he has to tailor his story he wants to tell to what you're willing to listen, or you just need to find a table that doesn't have dark themes that upset you. Pretty much the linchpin here, but we'll continue. But when it's supposed to be a fun game, and that's the issue. You don't want dark themes, you want lighthearted fun. I play on a weekday night, I don't want to have to think about killing children and animal abuse. But on the other hand, I don't want him to feel like he's on some sort of PG story. I feel like there's a line, I feel like he's crossing it. Am I being sensitive? My stories on the dark content, like killing children, animal abuse. Rather than reply to all individually the same comment, I thought I just wrote one separately. Hours ago. Boyfriend actually came upstairs to speak to me while I was reading and replying to your comments. I brought up how I was feeling. He said that looking back, he did bring it up very suddenly, realizing that children probably should have been alluded to in the campaign beforehand. So no session 0 on this. That's his bad. So we're conscious that he could be a consequence of reckless behavior. I let him know that I think his storytelling is great, powerful, but that just makes me uncomfortable to be so involved with dark subject matter. So that is a line, won't cross it again. Learning moments. So once again, the whole post really didn't need to be posted. You just needed to talk to them. Yeah. It seems like everything is already done. Okay. Wow. 40 comments in 2 hours. That was, I think everyone's already done the work for us. But yeah, essentially at that point, DM needs to have a session 0, kind of determine hard limits. If you don't, something you need to talk about. If something like that traumatically happens, you need to have a discussion. Then go into Reddit. Alright, so with that, we're going to go ahead and go to a small break, and we'll be back. All right, we are back, ready to go. So let's see what we have here. I see that technically does that if I... Yep, okay, that's fine. Let's just go to new. Okay. Rod. What to do? Dragon Eyes Chaos. Asking a question here. Nope, just telling a story. Okay, interconnected one-shots. Interconnected one-shots. I have no idea. They're one-shots for a reason. Okay, this is more our Alley Curse of Strahd subreddit by Zmullins. DM Noob here, help request. I'm about to run my first campaign for my group of players and decided to go with Curse of Strahd just because I like the premise of it. I ran a one-shot about the same group of players, campaign before that for about 2 years. I was starting the players with the desk house with a few minor changes. Any help or hints from other DMs or even previous players would greatly be appreciated. If you haven't fully looked into the top rated post here on the Curse of Strahd subreddit, then I highly recommend you do so. There's a lot of good posts and quality of information here to help you. Period. 3 things that I would recommend, however, is make sure you have a session 0 and everybody understands their expectations. Period. Make sure you're having fun as the dungeon master so you don't fall into and face inevitable DM burnout. Period. My last quick advice would be to stress to your players that the Curse of Strahd campaign is pretty lethal. So make sure to have a way to bring in new players and also make sure the players aren't too attached to their characters. Period. Alright, hopefully look into the top rated post here on the Curse of Strahd subreddit. I highly recommend you do so. There's a lot of good do so. Semicolon, there's a lot of good posts and quality of information here. To make sure you have a session 0 here to help you. 3 things I'd recommend, however, is to make sure you have a session 0. You have a session 0, so everybody understands your expectations are there, everyone's expectations. Make sure you have fun as Dungeon Master. They don't fall and face inevitable DM burnout. My last quick advice would be stress to your players that the Curse of Strahd, Curse of Strahd, pretty funny. Campaign is pretty lethal. So it's pretty lethal. So make sure to have a way to bring in new players and also make sure players aren't too attached to their character. Cool. Alrighty. So that's our quick advice there. Alright, let's see what we got. So Chronic UA versus Gym Dragons. It was a new UA. This is getting like real heavy UA broken builds. Not a fan of those sort of questions. Let's see here. Game Academy by Kenki Pope. Need help with a valuable item. Need advice. On the DM Academy subreddit. I need help coming up with an item for a player's backstory. The item in question isn't something that they have so much as something that their old mentor was accused of stealing. The idea is that this person was accused and is going to be executed for the theft of this item, but it was really stolen by a cult because cults be cults. Going to take place in Luskin. Okay, so we're on the Sword Coast. But I'm not really well versed in D&D lore, still learning, and I want something that's feasible to steal but would be valuable to a cult. I'd love some help with ideas. Is there any kind of cult behavior in Luskin? Luskin, Forgotten Realms wiki. Is it An? Did they misspell that? They did. I didn't even notice. City of Sails. Port city of the mouth of the river Marar on the Sword Coast North. Luskin. Furthest reach. Once a bustling city in the days prior to the Spell Plague. By the hands of Arkalem Greeth. Refresh my memory. Powerful Lich, the Archmage Arcane of the Arcane Brotherhood. Ooh. Okay. So maybe it could just be stealing something valuable to a lich. So let's do this. Post this. This website will provide some useful information to brush you up on some Forgotten Realms lore. Period. Taking into Luskin's history, perhaps he stole a bauble that is important to a cult that serves the Lich, Arkham Greed. I have no idea how do you spell that? Arkalem Greeth. Copy it. What is this? It serves Arkalem Greeth the Lich. Maybe he stole a component to build this Lich's soon-to-be phylactery. Period. Maybe he stole a component to build this soon to... what is soon to be? Lich's phylactery. Soon to be Lich's, soon to be phylactery. Maybe if the players don't intervene with the ritual, then he will become a Lich and eventually take over Luskin. Period. I'm not sure what level your players are, but this would naturally be a higher stakes and higher level plot. Period. If this is too high level, then perhaps this is just one of the components that will make its way into a plot point later. Yeah. Let's leave it at that. Luskins. The K. Add dictionary. Okay. Arklum greet the Lich. He will come a Lich. Luskin. Cool. Alright, we'll help him out with that. Maybe that'll help. This way to use Speechcraft. Persuasion, Intimidation. I want to see who thinks which is best and why. Have the players speak first, and then roll. Have the players roll. And then... Yeah, there was a post earlier. Maybe we'll look at that. Why is D&D trying so hard on the horror theme? Don't get me wrong, but we have Rhyme of the Frost Maiden trying to explore horror, and now with the new book, let's be back to Ravenloft. Why is there so much appeal on the horror theme on a game that was clearly not designed with horror in mind? Compare D&D to Call of Cthulhu or Alien RPG, for instance. The horror theme not as excitingly supported by D&D through recent adventures, but heavily focused on it. I believe it's, as they say, variety is a spice of life. I don't know if I'd call a popular horror theme setting book released 8 months later trying so hard. Action horror. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and say variety is the spice of life. Period. D&D, especially 5th edition, is trying to cast a wide umbrella to appeal to many different would-be role players. Period. Although it's not central to a lot of plot points, D&D can do horror well enough for most players. Period. Feel many different would-be role players. One word. Add dictionary. Also, it's not essential to a lot of plot points. But D&D can do horror well enough for most players. Also, I think it was although. D&D, especially 5th edition, is trying I wouldn't say, like, even then, like, despite a handful of modules and even old school adventures, there is much more action than horror for 5th edition modules. Period. Horror. Despite a handful of modules, even old school adventures are much more action than horror for the edition. So yeah, I don't know about trying too hard. In True Sight tell what a glyph of warding does. It doesn't give you any information, just lets you know it's there. Ooh. See, glyph of warding. You have something I don't know about. in your 5 paragraphs of text. Let's see here. You can describe it on either a surface, it could be closed to conceal, bigger than 10 feet. It's more move 10 feet, it's broken. It ends, is nearly invisible. Requires a successful intelligence check. Ah, correct. Decide what triggers it. You can further redefine the triggers to activate under special circumstances. You got a bunch of different runes you can put, and then at higher levels. Not. A glyph of warding is nearly invisible, not invisible. So it would not be seen unless they made a successful intelligence investigation check. Period. True sight, this lets you see something, not know what it does. Period. Wow, Egloff of Fording. Glyph of Fording. Intelligence investigation check. Your sight. Lets you see something, not know what it does. Okay. One-shot inspiration. So we have here a little something what to do for our next session. I want to do a fun one-shot, a little bit of closure. Goblin inhabited cave. Sure, we'll bite. Why not? By J. Pritchard 901, Dungeon Masters subreddit. One-shot inspiration. Alright, here's some backstory for my question. I've been running my first full-length campaign this semester. My players have loved it. We're only about to have it to take a long break at the end of the semester. Could only play one more session. We're all supposed to play more and be further along in the campaign, but all got too busy. They're currently deep in a goblin inhabited cave, searching for some kidnapped villagers. Basically, I'm a little bit stumped on what to do for our next session. I want to give them a fun one-shot to end on, but also want to give them a little bit of closure, or at least some sort of answers cliffhanger about the kidnapped villagers. They're quite a bit away from finding them. Not wanting to steal anyone's ideas, any inspiration would be great. From your description, it seems to me that you don't have enough time, or you feel you don't have enough time to kind of tie everything in a pretty knot. Period. So then you may just have to settle for a functional knot, not a pretty one, metaphorically speaking. Period. Just a little bit away finding them. Let me see here. A bit of closure. There's like so little information here. So I want it to be fun one-shot and closure, or at least some sort of answers cliffhanger. Perhaps you can have them continue until they find the kidnapped villagers and fight the goblin king or maybe hobgoblin leader. period. Then you might have to trill off into a monologue to tie up loose ends, period. We got loose ends, mono, L-O-U-E. I would say why would goblins want to kidnap some villagers? Perhaps the goblins holding them for ransom? Just thinking out loud, maybe the reason that the goblin leader, we'll say a hobgoblin here, has kidnapped the villagers is to ransom them off for food. Period. It's scarce for some reason. Period. Okay, I don't know, this is kind of bare bones. There's not enough information here to really help like I want. From your description, it seems to be you don't have enough time, or you feel like you don't have enough time, or you feel you don't have enough time to kind of tie everything in a pretty knot. So then you may have to settle for a functional knot, not a pretty one, metaphorically speaking. Perhaps you can have them continue until they find the kidnapped villagers. I think we'll just leave it at that. There's not a lot of information here. Our next session, a fun one shot to end on. It's not entirely fun. Oh. Here for some reason. The hobgoblin wants to hold a festival of the Nile Bog for Maglubiet. Period. So they have some carnival games set up to play. Period. Maybe the players can infiltrate disguised as goblins and play some of the games? Question mark? Carnival of the how do you spell Nile Bog? It's HL or LH? Nope, there's no H. I'm thinking there's an H. Just is it old school spelling Nile Bog? I don't think so. I think I'm just adding an H for some reason. Alright. Let's hold the Nile Bog for Maglubiet. Oh my god, it actually spelled Maglubiet right. The Hind Goblin wants to hold the Hobgoblin leader. There we go. That's a bit more fun. Alrighty then. So, we'll take one small break again. I'll be right back. Alrighty, we are back here, so let's get back to it. In person and online at the same time. One of the players has to be online while the rest are in person. Any way to have them join? They can just pull up a like Discord or laptop, I would assume. Yeah. How can I have them see all the board without them being overhead? It's doable. I hope wherever you're doing this has a good internet connection or doesn't have walls that block signals. Period. If you're doing this in a public space, this is going to be very difficult to not only hear, but in general. Period. If you're doing it in a more personal setting, this would help out and be easier, but still not easy. Period. Your best bet is using Discord, Skype, etc. And checking in on them to make sure they're understanding and seeing what they need to. Period. Discord, Skype. They understand and seeing what they need to. I hope wherever you're doing this has a good internet connection or doesn't have walls that block signals. Doing this in public space can be very difficult to not only hear, definitely see that homonyms are a problem, but in general, doing this in a more personal setting, this would help out and be easier, but still not easy. Could have put ETC there, that's fine. Cool. Learning final chapter of Lost Mines of Phandelver. Questions regarding a low-level character. Okay. Let's see what we have here. Are you serious? Oh, come on. I misclicked. Here we go. By Georgius on D&D Next subreddit. Question. Hi, the game that I was running pre-COVID has returned with 2 new players. One of them insisting on starting for level 1 when all the other players are level 5. Wait, what? Why would somebody do that? Wow, that's rare. After the first session, when Phandalin was struck by a weird sickness called Covingnitis, the players have arrived, managed to cure, and rewarded them level 2. They're a cleric, very new to D&D. We're getting to Wayveko Cave. How to not kill that character accidentally while doing the dungeon crawl that is Wayveko Cave. I mean, as a DM, you're kind of skirting the line between just this is what would happen and this is what the enemies would do, and obviously not just trying to outright murder the party. It's kind of a balancing act. So I get them being new, you don't want to just outright murder them, but considering they're second level anew, there's a good chance just naturally they're going to die. Kind of gotta play a little bit of both sides of the field to a certain degree. First solution, not be concerned about it. I told him the risk of it. He hasn't really created a background for his character. Having a special session 0. Big organized sales for tier 2 to 3. Pull my punches. Third solution, adding a second level DMPC fighter, be reckless and hopefully die easy. Maybe he'll play him a bit more cautiously. Level 5 Ranger, Rogue, Sorcerer, Paladin. Level 2 Cleric. Yeah, let's see if he puts anything else. Not a lot. I would say, considering you have already to talk to this individual about them being a low level, character, and the campaign is already almost over. I personally wouldn't think too much about it and would go with the first solution. Period. You have 4 other 5th level characters, so they should be able to mostly stay back a little bit. Period. And hey, if they die, then they died valiantly, and hopefully will take it in stride. Period. And okay, so we got here. Considering you've already talked to this individual about them being a low-level character and the campaign is already almost over, I personally wouldn't think too much about it and would go with the first solution. You have 4 other 5th level characters, so they should be able to mostly. You have 4 other 5th level characters, so the cleric should be able to mostly stay back a little bit. And hey, if they die, then they died valiantly. Valiantly. And hopefully we'll take it in stride. Cool. I'm attempting to create a heraldry coat of arms. I may have a tool to help this individual. The heraldry I'm trying to create involves a silver serpent right across. It doesn't work on my end. I'll try to finalize it. Not used before. Is there something particular that's going wrong? When I try to finalize a heraldry, it doesn't show up. Little blank shield. Let me actually see. May have something for them. See what we got. Let's see what we got. Maps. More maps. Homebrew stuff, PDFs. Miscellaneous. Other minis and tokens. It is not. Oh, maybe I put it in. Oh, I know what I did. Exactly what I did. Put it on the campaign. Is RPG design, truncated timeline. Pirate Cove. Maybe I didn't do that. Well, it's here somewhere. Fortunately, here, do a roll for fantasy, and then I think they have a tool here for heraldry creation. Coat of arms creator. This site may work for you if you can't get your site to work. Period. If I had to guess, maybe it is a cookie issue with your browser or other possible extension issues. Period. Right, this site may work for you if you can't get your site to work. I had to guess it's a cookie issue. All right. Got that right there. Ooh, maybe that'll help them out. Writer plot twist idea. Need advices. Okay. By Luna Solaris 13 on DM Academy. I thought about a plot twist to set up even before session 0 for my players. That's not good. One of them will be a traitor pro bad guy, but will pretend to be in the same team as their players. The idea of the campaign is to make them have tons of adventure with one big mission or a big fight that might compromise the world as it is, depending on their choices. So not very thought out. Throwing a player to betray the other players. Okay. I also thought about telling each of them they are the traitor and have to act as if they weren't until they eventually realize at the end of the campaign. Well, that's not going to work. They're going to tell each other. What do you think of these ideas? It's the first time I consider playing something like this. I'm quite a nice DM usually. Always inside my players. Thanks. You put anything else? This table compromises 2 of my main players, 1 friend. They're all very experienced players. I don't know how they would react. My plan was to tell everyone apart they are the traitor. I really like this. The other one too. It's a good idea to keep the idea for a one-shot or a short campaign. Yeah, that's my recommendation. You run a real risk of this not only blowing up in your face, comma, ending the campaign altogether, comma, and harming the trust you have with the players with this endeavor if it is done incorrectly. Period. Personally, I wouldn't do this as part of the campaign, but I would leave it for a one-shot. Period. The idea that you think that they won't communicate themselves as the traitor to each other and only realize it at the end of the campaign is super unlikely. Period. Alright, you're in a real risk of this not only blowing your face and keeping it all together, harming the trust you have with the players with this endeavor. I would say even if it is done correctly. Personally, I wouldn't do this as part of the campaign, but I would leave it for a one-shot. The idea that you think that they won't communicate themselves as the traitor to each other, only realize at the end of the campaign is not going to happen. Let the players work as a team. Period. I would say let the players work as a team. Otherwise, the cohesion and the what is it called? The preconditions of the campaign. But the cohesion and the preconditions of the campaign will likely fall apart. If you still want to do it, go for it. I would love to hear what happens either way. Period. However, comma, I would not attempt this unless you were an experienced DM and you had very experienced players with whom you've already garnered a great deal of trust. Period. Trust and knowledge. You want to go? If you still want to do it, go for it. Go forward. I'd love to hear what happens either way. However, I would not attempt this unless you were an experienced DM and you had very experienced players with whom you already garnered a great deal of trust and knowledge. I did not want to discard it. I want to comment. Okay. Cool. How to translate worth from 2E to 5E. They were doing money, right? Oh boy. I'm currently working with my group to build them an inn in the Lonely Wood. They're playing Rhyme. I'm using the Stronghold Builder's Guide from 2E. I'm unsure whether or not I can translate money straight across the versions, or if there's a difference in what a gold coin to buy in the versions. There is. And yeah, I don't know the Stronghold Builder's Guide. I would just use 5E's currency and not convert anything. Problem I'm facing is what can a gold coin buy in each system, because I'm already using the Stronghold Builder's Guide from 2E to build a building in 5E. Colville's MCDM Stronghold and followers might be of interest. Say, this is a good idea. Conversion of currency across editions of D&D does not work. Period. Even so, the economy in 5th edition is a bit weird on some things. Period. I believe I have a site for this somewhere. Just gotta remember where it is. Ooh, was it? Oh, Yeah, that's the site. I just didn't find the Thane magic item prices. These are all magic items, not actual items. Oh, now that I think about it, let's go to the books. Let's go to the DMG. I know they have running the game, objects, combat, 2 have here. Oh, we need to zoom out a little bit for you, don't we? Even then, it's still not centered right. Huh. That's okay. Because I know siege equipment does have prices on those, kinda. Poisons. We can purchase like vehicles. Oh, let me see what we have here. Environments, chapter 5. It is chapter 5. Airborne and waterborne vehicles. So DMG 119, pretty useful. $127, 119, 127, 128, 130, yep. Especially 128. Okay, pages 119, 127, especially 128, and 130 all have some helpful information about the economy and pricing defaults. On some things. Okay, so I think that's what I would post. Cool. How much black powder would be needed to blow up a city? Such a murder hobo question, right? I mean, seriously? Okay. Let's say that a fleet of ships, each having a half-dozen small trebuchets on them, were to show up in a fairly large city. And hypothetically speaking, if the fleet of ships were to launch barrels of black powder with lit fuses on them onto said city, how many ships would they need? 8, 10 more? If this fleet were to exist, what kind of defenses and augmentations do they need to ensure this process is safe? I mean, it wouldn't be safe. You have black powder, it's going to potentially explode at some point or another. half dozen small trebuchets for a fairly large city. I mean, you wouldn't be able to blow up the whole city. The trebuchets wouldn't be able to have an arc that would fire large enough or long enough. And you have the risk of black powder detonation prematurely. Let's see if I put anything else. Cheboy maybe they're covered in oil. Wait, when the fuses blow out when they got launched? And you ask how many tons of TNT worth a nuclear bomb was, how much black powder is in a ton of TNT. Maybe there's a second compartment of the barrels that houses the fuse. Tons and tons. I got a citation for that. Tend to use the Wiki's RE list. Black powder has a 0.55 conversion factor. The US Army's FM 5 to 250. Narky answer lots. 20,000 tons of gunpowder. Magic, technically stone. You would need an unreasonable amount of black powder to do so. Period. Others have posted before, if you really want to do some number crunching to take the kilojoules of energy in black powder and convert that to another form like TNT to find an average of how much energy you can exert per square area. Period. However, this is completely overkill. Period. Realistically speaking, a fleet of ships would not be able to hit a fairly large city at every angle from their trebuchets unless they're unreasonably close. No magic involved. Period. Safety devices is going to be whatever magic you could come up with, more than likely, as premature detonation is a very real danger. Period. Also, these ships would need to have so much black powder that one small spark could take out the entire ship and be a very prominent display over the horizon, should that happen. Period. Number crunching to take the kilojoules of energy and black powder and convert that to another form like TNT to find the average how much energy you can exert per square area. However, this is completely overkill. Basically speaking, a fleet of ships would not be able to hit a fairly large city at every angle from their trebuchets. Unless they're unreasonably close, no magic involved. Decent defensive build of the city, etc. Safety devices is going to be whatever magic you come up with, more than likely, as premature detonation is a real danger. Also, the ships would need to have so much black powder that one small spark would take out an entire ship and be a very prominent display of the horizon should that happen. Okay. Interesting. Just can't figure it out. Alright, but Clouded Dreams on DM Academy. So, can't figure it out. Need advice. I've been DMing for my group for over a year now, but I'm still so puzzled about how to DM. It's like they need to read the DMG. Sometimes I go into a game on 1 hour's sleep, minimal prep, and it goes brilliantly. I wonder if it does or your perception it does. Other times I'm playing for 8 hours and it's a complete train wreck. Not knowing how the game will go gives me a lot of anxiety. And I feel solely responsible for a less enjoyable game. Weekly D&D game is starting to loom over me. I feel happiness on Saturday evening when it's over, and then it starts to creep closer. The feeling of dread increases again. Okay, a lot of anxiety here. Part of this is that I don't know where to focus my efforts when preparing. Spending 3 hours on a map a good idea? Should I be writing long descriptions of things? Will the players enjoy a fight or a puzzle more? I feel like you should know that already, being the dungeon master with the players for X amount of time. Also, having a session 0, knowing what they like is a good thing. Wow. Wow, we need a lot of things. So we have read DMG, anxiety. Are you having fun or doing this for them? Do you know your players' likes, expectations? Session 0. For most of my DMing career, I've been running pre-written one-shots. But recently we decided to start our first ever campaign. Is it homebrew? This has increased trust for me exponentially. Nothing I've ever written by myself has been successful. I feel like I can't continue these pre-written one-shots because story threads would be too dissonant. I think it's definitely should have started running a pre-written campaign, but it's too late for that now. Oh, so it is homebrew with that. You got in over your head thinking you could do in overhead with homebrew. A couple of weeks ago, I had a session so disastrous that I had to end it after only an hour. And last week, I had one of my players pretend it couldn't come so that I would have a reason to cancel the session. Oof. Most players don't know how serious I take our games, and I'm scared I might cry during tomorrow's session. So, fear of failure or letting them down. Okay. Those are my notes. Alright, did I say anything else? Something that helped me as a DM was realize most people just want to have fun with their friends on Discord. It's a game made to be fun. You have fun together. As long as everyone's having a good time, the game was a success. Doesn't matter how it goes off the rails. It was a good session. Okay, so I don't want to structure my notes here. We have anxiety, doing it for them. Fear of failure. Let's do the cognitive stuff. We have that, anxiety. So that. Then we can discuss do you know the player's likes, expectations, session 0. And then we can go into actual useful advice. So, you definitely have a lot of anxiety about running sessions. Period. The question to ask yourself is, are you having fun DMing? Question mark. If not, then why do you continue to DM? Are you doing this for yourself, or, like I hypothesize, you're doing it for them? Period. Perhaps the reason you still run is you fear letting them down, or you fear failing. Period. I don't know, just something for you to think about. Period. Do you know your players' likes? Question mark. Do you know your players' expectations? Question mark. Why do your players play with you week after week? Question mark. They must like something that you're doing, or multiple things, hopefully. Period. Try to figure this out, or just ask them. Period. Now for the useful advice. I'll say useful. Now for the I would say applicable. Now for the working advice. Now for ideas that may help you. Let me think, what chapter is really good for the DMG for this specifically? Oh, chapter 3, creating adventures. Creating encounters. NPCs. Yeah. Chapters 3, 4, 6, and 8. Reading the Dungeon Master's Guide is a big help, especially chapters 3, 4, 6, and 8. Period. Chapters 3 and 4 help with the overarching story and framework of storytelling. Overarching. Yep. You are definitely in over your head running a homebrew campaign. So, what I would recommend is to either A, parenthesis, left paren. Okay, we'll just move on from that. Tell them that you would like to start running a module to help you with these feelings and to give you some structure. And from this, you can begin to add homebrew elements to the module. Or you can supplement some homebrew module elements into your homebrew to help beef some things up. Period. It is a word salad and a half. Okay, you definitely have a lot of anxiety about running sessions. The question to ask yourself is, are you having fun DMing? I'll cap that. If not, then why do you continue to DM? Are you doing this for yourself, or like I hypothesize, you're doing it for your players? Perhaps the reason you still run is your fear of letting them down, or you fear failing. I don't know. Just something for you to think about. Do you know your players' likes? Do you know your players' expectations? Why do your players play with you week after week? They must like something that you are doing. That's like something that you are doing right. Try to figure this out or just ask them. Now for ideas that may help you, reading the Dungeon Master's Guide is a big help, especially chapters 3, 4, 6, and 8. Dungeon Master's Guide. Chapters 3 and 4 help the overarching story and framework of storytelling. You are definitely in over your head running a homebrew campaign. And are likely running out of content. You are likely okay. So what I would recommend is to either okay, we can use markdown stuff here. But we'll say tell them that you would like to start running a module to help you with these feelings and to give you some structure. Okay. Say from this you can get to add homebrew elements to the module. We can supplement some homebrew or some module elements into your homebrew to help beef things up. The module. Or you can continue running the homebrew campaign, but supplement some module elements into your homebrew to help beef some things up. I think you just need to have an honest talk with your players about how you're feeling instead of letting this eat you up all week. Period. You're making yourself miserable, and this is ultimately unsustainable. Period. Okay. All right, played therapist enough for that one. Let's see what we have here. dual wielding using a shield with two-handed weapons. So we have here. Fugo-O, or Fugo-O-O. Dual wielding using a shield with two-handed weapons. Okay, so I'm a fairly new DM. Before I started my campaign, I swear I saw at some point something about carrying two-handed weapons with a single hand, but now I can't find anything like it. Might have something to do with a certain barbarian subclass, maybe? I also checked out the dual wielder feat, but that's not exactly what I remember either. Need a little help here, since one of my players is interested in that concept. I consider multi-classing, but I can't offer them proper advice, because I just have no idea. 3 upvotes, 14 comments. That's okay. Let me think. You can't, like, unless you're like large. I think it's a Pathfinder though. If you're large and you're trying to wield like a medium-sized weapon, I think you could do it one hand. Can't think of anything that effectively allows this though. Can't think of anything off the top of my head that would allow this. Maybe a magical item that allows it? Sounds about right. Something with the fighter, gloves of the fighter, something with the fighter. Blue Ridiculous, you can hold a two-handed weapon in one hand while you use the other hand interact with an object. However, to attack with a two-handed weapon, you need both hands on it. You can carry a two-handed weapon in one hand, but you can't attack. Are versatile and make it wielded. Oh yeah, that's also an obvious thing. Oh yeah, but two-handed weapon is being versatile weapons a thing, allowing two-handed weapons to be wielded. Hold a two-handed weapon. Alright, that makes sense. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We're just going to go with that. I think it already been answered. Cool. Okay, let's go with Eve. The D&D behind the screen. There you go. Community Q&A. Get your questions answered. 4 days late here. Hopefully not too late though. All your DM or D&D and DMing questions, go to our Discord. You can always message the mods. 175 upvotes, 214 comments, 98% upvoted. Okay. 1 hour ago. Okay, so there's some stuff here. Cool. All right. Neat. Add in that. So, I'm noticing a lot of offensive bonus actions require them to immediately follow an attack action. Why? I ran into this while building some homebrew and considering ruling that such effects don't require the attack action in general. But I'm a little worried I'm not seeing some obvious exploit to be exposing myself to. Doesn't really seem dangerous to allow a monk to take a different standard action and make one unarmed strike as a bonus action. Right. Allow a monk to take a different standard action and make one unarmed strike as a bonus action. So are you talking flurry of blows? You get like a standard action with that hit, and I mean, monks can already make an unarmed strike as a bonus action. Actually, let's look real fast. EMG Chapter 9. There's a small paragraph about changing things, all the things you shouldn't change. Bonus action, action economy is one of them, as well as a few other things. Trying to remember where it is exactly. Anything for 5th edition that is action to bonus action and trying to go vice versa, basically don't allow it. You're going to break the game. And it may be innocuous at a certain point, but it'll become broken and utterly oppressive for the late game. Which, if you want your players to do that, yeah, by all means, you can do so. But for the sake of longevity in the campaign and some balance, and at least giving a challenge for your players, don't mess with it. Where is it? I thought it was here. Nope, it's this right here. 263. Beware of adding anything to your game that allows a character to concentrate on more than one effect at a time, use more than one reaction or bonus action per round, or attune to more than 3 magic items at a time. Rules and game elements that override the rules for concentration, reactions, bonus actions, and magic item attunement can seriously imbalance or overcomplicate your game. DMG 263. Okay. Copy that. Oh, this is missing some stuff here. But this is pretty much the answer. Attunement is a word. Overcomplicate, also just a word. DMG 263, yes. Yep. Do. I am not sure about your monk example, but anything affecting these things listed above will be exploitable, and break your game. Your game balance. I would hazard against it. Just probably not worth the hassle. Unless you want to spend hours and hours of hours and hours and hours trying to basically go into game design, re-splice and redesign 5th edition. Guarantee you're not going to have the expertise or knowledge to do that effectively. Unless you went to school for that or you have a lot of experience. Okay, I set my party features Steampunk City. There will be setting for most of the remainder. What is the best low cost or better yet free safe online resource to use to create a custom map for it? What is the best low cost safe online resource to create a custom map? Okay, I can find that actually. Maps. Fantasy City Generator. Yeah, this one's pretty awesome. a bit of a learning curve, but this is pretty good. If there's a simple crafting system you would recommend, something that isn't just shopping with extra steps, kind of bookkeeping to use. List of recipes up front. I look, I believe it is the, yeah, it's that one. Non-official supplements. Herbalism and alchemy. Aria. Crafter. Yeah, it's that one. I have no idea. All right. So we have. All right. So the crafter PDF by Sir IVELD on GM Binder and signed by AER. Break is pretty good. Cool. All right, that one down. So players are interested in playing the cleric, but I was having trouble figuring out how exactly the magic worked lore-wise. Trying to figure out what separates a warlock from a cleric and how they cast magic. In most cases, a greater being loans them magic power in exchange for the caster doing some form of bidding or deal. I can understand that a god is different than, say, a genie, but I don't understand the difference between praying at a church to contact your god, then getting magic in exchange for retrieving color relics for summoning a devil, getting magic exchange for souls. Alright, take a small break. The allergies today are getting to me. I'll be right back though. Alright, we are back. So, moving on here, clerics versus warlock. Like, what's the difference? Have a cleric. Serves a god. Likes their god. And wants to see them succeed. / grow. Another way from a cleric. There's a god. Ignoring, this typical cleric. There's a god, likes their god, and wants to see them succeed, grow. Has rituals or writings. Rituals or scripture. Okay, typical warlock. We'll say, and it serves any powerful being. May hate their patron, but means to an end. Typically a lone worshipper. Typically a lone let's say clergyman, not an individual. What's what I want? They're typically a lone disciple or one of a few. Understand the difference between praying at a church, then getting magic in exchange for retrieving a holy relic versus summoning a devil. Say clerics for greater good, power. Difference between praying at a church to contact your god, getting magic in exchange, getting magic in exchange for a way that a cleric gets its powers is based upon the ideals of the deity, period. The way a warlock gets its powers is based upon their patron, period. Simply put, a cleric can go through certain steps and be devoted and get their powers that way, period. A warlock typically has to give up something or complete a task for their patron for power. Period. One is more of a reward. The latter is more of a business deal. Period. The way a cleric gets its powers based upon the ideals of the deity. The way a warlock gets its powers based upon their patron. Simply put, a cleric can go through certain steps and it's voted and get their powers that way. A warlock typically has to give up something or complete a task for patron. What is more of a reward? The latter. More of a business deal. Okay. I would say maybe take this all out. The latter is more of a business deal. And that person kind of already said that. Skulk encounter. Raw Skulk's incredibly unfun. Ooh, what is... Bestiary. And how have I forgotten these things? Fallible invisibility. Invisible. The visibility can be circumvented by three things. Skulk appears as a drab, smooth-skinned humanoid. Its reflection can be seen in a mirror or on another surface. That there. Frame marker done. The skulk appears as a dim, translucent form in the light of a candle made of fat rendered from a corpse. Its identity is unknown. Humanoid children, 18 and under, can see the invisibility. Blue-skinned humanoid. So basically, mirror, candlelight, be 10 or under. Has advantage. The target takes 2d6 necrotic. Ooh, that's lethal. Oh, these things are really dangerous. Oh, AC 14, geez. These things are nasty. Ideas. That is a really cool idea. Period. To answer your question, Wondrous, they are extremely deadly should the players not be able to circumvent the invisibility. That is your question. OP, they are extremely deadly. Players not be able to circumvent the invisibility. Or know what they are fighting. Maybe have local townsfolk talk about these creatures, that they give a different name, and give them some information on how to fight them, or allow the players to do some research and figure out what these beings' weaknesses are. Period. They're extremely deadly. Yeah, they're pretty nasty. Maybe house local townsfolk. Maybe local townsfolk talk about these creatures. They give a different name. You give some info and give the players some information how to fight them. Maybe allow the players to do some research and figure out what these beings' weaknesses are. In folk, I'll say folk lore writings. So I'm planning an encounter at level 3's Swagan Raid. The idea being they are entering an abandoned town. That's residents were slaughtered, kidnapped at the initial raid. This will be a smaller raid. Find stragglers to loot. Thinking about one baron, one casters, and a few mooks. Wondering how many to throw at them that isn't overwhelming but not too easy, and with suggestions. Kobold Fight Club. Help you down the fight on average will be. You could always stagger the waves, like chemical assist 62529 recommended. You could have them retreat early. You could have them be at lower health pools. Period. Like I said, you can have them retreat early. You can have them be at lower health. You have them be already injured. Say or. Okay. If anyone else has been answered, looks like everyone has been answered here. If so, we'll probably just move on. Interesting curses. That pieces I've made up. Okay. All right, it's behind the screen. Player problem, mega thread. You have a problem with a player, not a character, post here. For DMs, not counselors. On top of comments, including rules, questions. Do not go here. Argumentative player. All right. We have, wow, a lot of people chimed in on that one. Red did, well, a little day late there. That's the only, red or mine is blind. Nope, everybody chimed in on this one. Seems. No, it's, oh, they did, okay. Good one, I guess. Oh. Yeah, I think most of this already been answered pretty well. See, I was reading that wrong. Creating and running a D&D session for the 5-person class in one period. 1 hour long. Ooh. I got a lot of help. Make a Discord server. Minecraft. Now what? Genre expectation D&D while the Goblin Babies twist sucks. Mook Star Troopers. Moral Quandary out the door. The default expectation D&D enemies are mooks. Expendable. Understanding the genre. Goblin Baby twist punishing your players for having the wrong genre expectations. But yeah, I think the twist needs to be a bit more organic than just throwing it, Goblin Babies. People might feel weird about all orcs being inherently evil. Once again, I've had a discussion before. Depends on the effect of the deities. I think people really leave the divinity side of pantheons out, especially the evil ones. I think it depends on how you do it, ultimately. I have to read more, give that a proper discussion. But I would like to help other people the time that we have left. All right, anyone of their subreddits have a mega thread? Thanks for the ad. I'm not answering that. Get out of here. There you go. There's the article somewhere else. I see. They're posting it on their blog. How to build trust as a demon player. Wow, this is really kind of a dead thread. Yeesh. Don't mind being the first of the party, but RPG player full of wonder. Is this going over once again? Outside source. Okay, so video post not very well liked or popular here. Noted. Let's see, Dungeon Masters. New DM tips and tricks 4 months ago. Okay, that's not gonna help us. So I posted earlier today. No one will ever love your campaign as much as you do as the DM, and that's okay. Okay, I'll bite. I often read posting the online forums from DMs who have created what they believe is a well-developed campaign. However, when presented with their intended players, the same DMs are sometimes shocked, disappointed at how their players' enthusiasm does not match their own. Perhaps disappointed and dejected, they either bail on their beloved campaign, or adapt where they perceive to be dire to the players, or acquiesce, trying something they're not ecstatic about. The couples often play D&D together. Relationship between the D and the players on a marriage. By all means, DMs should strive to ensure everyone's having fun. For the I think there's a great value in coming up with a collective theme and setting. Why? Many philosophies I describe one in particular. That is, a DM, no one ever really your campaign as much as you do, and that is okay. We appreciate that you're one player at the table who's most invested into it. Demonstrate your passion. Right, you're not on RPG horror stories. My diatribe there. It's okay. Um, yeah, pretty much. Period. Oh, it's too blasé. I don't want to say I agree. How do I have not I agree, not pretty much. Um, basically, I'm gonna say basically. I don't know if it's consonant or not, but basically, right on. I'm gonna misspell basically. Awesome. Right on. The parent will always love their child the most. Let's say tempering your expectations as the DM for the party's enthusiasm is important. However, some players can really bum out their DM with their remarks or their deconstructing of the adventure. I think we can leave that there. I did that one before. Help balancing a homebrew spell. Okay. So we have Brillian's Luring Lamp. Oh, is this on Roll20? It's gotta be. So it's a second level enchantment spell, casting time and action, range 30 feet, 15-foot area. Sphere. Wisdom save, duration for a minute. EM, so no somatic components. So it could be, yeah, no somatic components, so can't cast if your hands are bound. Damage effect lightning. Toss the enchanted lamp used as a material component for the casting of the spell at a point within 30 feet of you. You distort the value of the lamp so that up to 3 creatures you choose within 15 feet of it that can see the lamp must make a wisdom saving throw. So I assume with the dark, they wouldn't be able to see it necessarily. They didn't have dark vision. On failed save, they become obsessed with the desire to possess the lamp. Creatures that can't be charmed are immune to its effect. The obsession and desire to possess the lamp can continue for the entire duration. Multiple creatures are affected by the spell. They may argue or fight over the lamp. The creature holding the lamp takes at least 10 damage from an attack. They must make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, they drop the attack. Okay, we're getting a new territory here. If a creature holding the lamp takes 10 damage, they must make a strength save throw. On a failed save, they drop. Okay, so the strength save would be against the spell save DC. I think that's just unnecessary. When a creature affected by the spell is holding a lamp at the beginning of their turn, they immediately take 3d12 lightning damage, and the spell ends. Oh, I see what it's doing here. I feel like that's just taking magic as a second level spell and just being kind of stupid, or not allowing any kind of intelligence for the afflicted individual. Because if they hurt themselves, they'll drop it, and they repeat their wisdom save. If they fail, they'll pick it up again. I think you need to get rid of the 10 damage from an attack. Get rid of that thing. And I think I would say they can only be affected by it once. They can take 3d12 if they pick it up, but that's that. And I would say, yeah, you affect one additional creature. Anytime an affected creature takes damage. Yeah, this would be more like a good distraction kind of a thing. That's what I would do. First lamp as a trap, they kept it. Bouncing by spell level may not be the choice here. I think giving it charges uses per day may be a better option. Aardvarks are the jam. Wizard wants to create a spell using the trapped lamp as a lure. Charm spell. A charm spell will affect multiple targets and deals damage every round until they pass. A save seems a little OP. I want it to still be fun. Any ideas? How balanced is that for a second level spell as far as AoE damage? 3d12 is too much, actually. The damage needs to come down. Because naturally it can afflict up to what, 3? So you can do up to 9d12. Go to chapter 9 here, start looking at some spells. Yeah, d12s are too much. I think it needs to be probably d8s. Probably like 2d8. There's multiple targets, it would be 4d6. So that's 3.5 times 4, which is 14. 2d8's 4.5, it's 9. Yeah, I think the d12s are too much, especially for that spell. Wouldn't be right. I think it would naturally be d8s. Let's go 3d8 instead. Pretty sure 3d8 and 46 are pretty much average together. Close enough. Make it 3d8. This is balancing by spell. May not have the choice here. Charges per day. You want to stick to levels. Okay, so creature holding lamp takes the least. I would remove and the spell ends. When any creature affected by the spell is holding the lamp, they immediately take their 12 light damage and the spell ends. Oh, it's for all of them. Okay, oh, so it's really a, wait, it's, okay, so the spell end on them. So paragraph 2. On paragraph 2, sentence 3, the strength saving throw, I would remove. I do not think that it fits normal spell convention. And I feel that the dropping of the lamp to be more mental than physical We'll go ahead and do bop, bop, bop. Take 3d12 lightning damage and the spell ends. And let's just do this. Okay. Ends. Does the entire spell end, or just the spell effect on them? On them. Needs clarification. If it doesn't end entirely, then take the damage down to 3d8, as it can affect multiple creatures then. My recommendation. Everything else looks fine to me. Cool idea. Bueno Fallen. Okay. Pull that. Maybe let's go to Facebook. So we have here. Wait, these are all groups, not my groups. There we go. 5E. Cool. All right. What would be a non-evil reason a cleric could choose the death domain? More or less kind of the Raven Queen natural process of life. Granted, this is at 430 answers. Maybe they protect the natural order of life and death. Perhaps like serving the Raven Queen. Anything in the last few minutes? Everything seems to be this morning. Is there a way I can filter? I don't think I can. New activity. Recent post. Okay. How long should a session be? 3 to 4, 4 plus, 2 to 3, yes, 6 to 8 with a planned, wait, 3 to 4 hours. That is the best. Okay. All right, build question. 1 off tomorrow, set in Theros. A question about spell casting. When you cast a concentration spell, take an action like invisibility. You have to drop the spell before starting to use another concentration spell that needs a minute before casting, or the spell drop when cast. You have to drop the spell before starting to use. It immediately ends. Is our casting concentration, the first one drops. This is the answer. Specifically, if we look at the player's handbook here, we can see chapter 10, concentration, page 203. You lose concentration on a spell if you cast another spell that requires concentration. HB 203. Answer, look up EHB 203 for clarifications. Everyone is a first timer, friendly, doing a campaign this weekend. Let's talk players you can cantrip clever ways to shape water, control flame. Do you think they should be able to use as attacks, assuming there's a source of one or the other? How would you use control flame to attack exactly? You instantly expand the flame 5 feet in direction. It has to be flame already, so like you just take like a candle, then you just like amplify it. There's plenty of other damaging cantrips other than those to choose from. It keeps wanting to shape water into ice spears to pry apart armor or throw a water balloon and freeze it. Basically keeps setting enemies on fire. You're basically making different spells, right? Considering there are plenty other damaging cantrips, I would say that they should not be used as attacks. Period. If players want to be able to change or sculpt their spells in different ways, what I would do is include that as a downtime activity over time to learn how to shape spells. Or what I do is have them take a feat and then spend downtime changing spells to do things it's not intended to do. Period. All right. Notifications. Okay, we'll just get a lot of notifications. Might turn those off. Then there are plenty other damage cantrips. There's plenty of damage cantrips. I would say they should not be used as such. Players want to be able to change or sculpt their spells in different ways. But change, or I'll say modify their spells in different ways. What I would do is include that as a downtime activity. Please. What I would do is include that as downtime activity over time to learn how to shape spells. What I do is have them take a feat and then spend downtime changing spells to do things they're not intended to do. Sounds to me that the players are being creative, which is great, but are doing so in more of a power gamer way. Okay. Cool. With that, we are at the end of our day here at the D&D help desk. So what we are going to do, we're going to go raid somebody. See who we have here. Streaming Dungeon and Dragons right now. Alrighty, so we have someone right here. Go ahead and raid them here in a bit. You all had a good day. Are you gonna do this to me? Okay, we'll just do that then. Do remember your raid kit. And do behave, and I will see you all next week. Coming back with a few more interesting things. So let's go ahead and rate them. See you all next week.